order the Enfield Inland Wetlands Watercourse Agency meeting for Tuesday, December 5th. Roll call, please.
Okay, Donna Corbin-Sabinski.
Here.
Kevin Zorda, present. Virginia Higley is absent. Robert Shagnon.
I'm here.
Jane Smith is absent. And Carrie Ann Howe.
Present.
Fire evacuation procedures. If there's an emergency, then you would exit the door to my left, out down the stairs and away from the building, or you can exit the door in the back of the room, and again, down the stairs and away from the building. Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Public participation. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak regarding items not on the agenda? Again, is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak regarding items not on the agenda? And one last time, anybody want to speak regarding items not on the agenda? Seeing none. Next on the agenda is correspondence. We received the habitat for the fall of 2017 at our desks. And a note from the town engineer for one of the applications for today.
Calendar meeting date?
Yeah, we also have the calendar meeting dates to talk about. I know you did propose, you normally have them on Tuesday. You also gave us a calendar for Wednesday. Our bylaws do not let us do Wednesday. They show Tuesday in the bylaws.
Yeah, the discussion with the administration, as you know, there's been a cutback in staff support in the planning office, and we're looking at trying to create efficiencies. And like a half a dozen times a year, there's a conflict between the Wetlands Commission and the Town Council, in which if there's a Monday holiday, they move to Tuesday. They bump you guys to the Enfield room, and that presents a problem for Enfield TV as well in terms of setting up down there. So at a minimum, when we prepared the calendar, we talked about those instances in which there is a conflict with the Town Council. We couldn't go to the second and fourth Tuesday because that night the Board of Education is in this room. So the other alternative, and the thing about the first and third Tuesday is P&Z meets the first and third Thursdays, and so that means staff, like last week, we were engaged in putting together materials for both Wetlands and P&Z the same week and getting them out at the exact same time. So if this commission would move its meetings to the second and fourth Wednesday, then that would mean that we were on, for example, last week we only were dealing with making sure that the P&Z materials were getting out, and we'd be getting your materials out this week. So it's for those reasons that we put together the two different calendars. Having said that, it's basically the discretion of the commission.
Yeah, unfortunately, in our agenda, in our bylaws, it states the first and third Tuesday, so we'd have to change the bylaws,
Which you could do.
Yeah.
So we just asked you to consider that for all of those reasons. It would make it a whole lot easier, or make it more efficient. It would avoid the conflicts with the council. It would avoid having to go to the Enfield room and having Enfield TV set up in the Enfield room. And it would assist in getting materials out to the commission in a timely manner.
I think we will need to talk to Jane and
The rest of
team.
yeah. You'll have to talk with the rest of the agents to see
If it works.
if it works for everybody.
Right.
Yeah, and then we, of course, have to change our bylaws. When do they need this for?
I'm sorry?
When do they need this approved for? Time?
The state statute says you file it by the end of the year. There is no penalty if you file it late, but we ought to, so you have another meeting in December, right?
Yeah.
So you could table it, and which would be perfectly fine because you're only seeing it for the first time tonight. So if you want to think about it, and it will be distributed. It's been distributed to the other members of the board, and take it up at the next meeting. That would be fine.
Sounds good. Okay. They did ask if our names and addresses and that were correct. I asked the people here. I know the other ones are. I could give this to you, Jen, and you could
Oh,
share it
yeah,
with the
if
town.
you have them, yeah, I'll
Yeah, I
take
do.
them. I was going to ask everyone by email, but I'll take
Yeah, I have
that
it.
after. Yep.
So I'll give it to you at the end of the meeting.
If I could just suggest on one thing with respect to the calendar, since we're in the process, we'd be in the process of before your next meeting scheduling things and for January. Did you want to at least look at January and move your two January meetings to Wednesday because they both conflict with holidays?
Yeah, nobody's here.
Because you've got New Year's and you got Martin Luther King holiday.
So that'd be, you're suggesting a Wednesday. You're in Florida.
Yeah, probably in Florida, so it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah. All right. Well, again, ask the rest of the, Jane and Jenny and them for next meeting. Is that good? Or we could ask them beforehand.
Yeah.
By email.
Okay.
Yeah, to see if those dates are good. Should be okay. You're not coming anyway, so,
I wouldn't be available on either date.
okay. All right.
Would be able.
You could?
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean, I just have to talk.
okay. Good, that'll be good. Next on the agenda is commissioners' correspondence. Does anybody have anything?
The Conservation Commission.
Yeah. No, that would go with her. Next on the agenda is approval of minutes for November 21st, 2017.
I move that we accept those minutes and approve them for the minutes dated November 21st, 2017.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, can we have roll call?
Sorry. Unprepared.
I told you I should have done it.
I told you.
Donna Corbin Sabinski.
Yes.
Kevin Zorda, yes. Virginia, Robert Shagnon.
Yes.
And Carrie Ann Howe.
I will abstain, I was not here.
Okay, 3 in favor, 1 abstain, motion passes. New business, IW 586, 300 Shaker Road, application for the expansion of parking lots, WE 300 Shaker Road LLC, owner applicant, industrial I-1, zone, map 099, lot 16. The applicant's here? Great. Could you state your name and address for the record? Thank you.
It's just one correction on the agenda. It says applicant to be received only, but
Yeah, we received it last week. I mean, 2 weeks ago.
Good evening, Ms. Chairman, members of the commission. My name is Mark Friend, and I'm with Megson Hegel and Friend Engineers in Glastonbury. I'm here to represent the application tonight. Also with me is Pat Peltier from Win Stanley Construction Management, who is the applicant for this project. And this application is related to properties located at 100 Print Shop Road and 300 Shaker Road. These were originally part of the former Lego campus. To orient you, the current property owner is WE 100 Print Shop Road LLC and WE 300 Shaker LLC. The applicant, as I mentioned, is Win Stanley Construction Management LLC. Both companies are related to the Win Stanley Enterprises. They're all interrelated, and they purchased this property a little less than 2 years ago, I think. To orient you to the map that I put up here at the easel, north is up, Shaker Road is located in this location. Taylor Road is here. Probably most of you are familiar with this property. This is an existing warehouse, approximately 445,000 square feet in size. It's a very large warehouse. This map here is a 1 inch equals 100 feet, just for order of magnitude. And this warehouse is currently being leased by Advanced Auto Parts. Access to the warehouse is from Shaker Road via a driveway in this location that actually goes around the building and then over to the 100 Print Shop Road parcel. There is an employee parking lot to the north of the warehouse. There are loading dock areas to the west side of the warehouse. And down a slope, there are 2 water tanks here, which are for fire storage tanks, which are kind of a landmark that you've probably seen. Those are in this location. And the existing gravel parking lot here, which is the subject of this application, is located west of the loading dock areas. There is a drop in the slope. So that is the gravel parking lot area that varies in width right now between 125 to 150 feet wide. The total length of this is about 1,100 feet. This was approved in 2 phases. The first phase of this gravel parking lot, which extended to about this location opposite the tanks, this was approved and constructed back in the mid-90s, actually. The second phase of this gravel parking lot was approved a couple of years ago. Actually, I think there were some members of the commission that were here when this was approved. And this was constructed in this location. So this actually is one parking lot. The reason the application is for 300 Shaker Road and 100 Print Shop Road is there's a small leg of 100 Print Shop Road that comes up in this location. So this half of the parking lot, most of it is actually on the 100 Print Shop Road property, but they're all owned by the same company. The existing wetlands is shown here in green to the west, and this is a fairly large wetland system. The soccer fields are over here, which are kind of into the other side where the other side of the wetland wraps around that. So there's a fairly large wetland system there. There is an existing stormwater quality basin, stormwater management basin, which I've shown here in blue, which was constructed when the warehouse was constructed. This detention basin, stormwater quality basin, was built. It's a fairly large basin. There are wetlands plants that were planted actually when this access road came in. There was some filling needed just on the edge of this wetland, and the wetland plants were taken from here and actually put in that wetland. So it's a constructed wetland stormwater management system that is actually functioning pretty nicely. The proposal is quite simply to surface this existing gravel parking lot with bituminous pavement. There is some of the proposal is to square off this edge of the parking lot to make it a little bit wider. Actually, the original proposal back in the mid-90s showed the parking lot to be out to that location, but some of that's grown in, so we've shown the gravel to be expanded a little bit on the easterly side before paving of the area. Of course, by paving it, it's going to increase the runoff because it becomes an impervious surface. So we've proposed stormwater measures to treat that. On the northern half of the parking lot, the most recently approved one, that parking lot sheet flows actually to the existing stormwater basin, and we did a drainage report that I just saw tonight. The town engineer has reviewed and has agreed with the results of the report. So for the northerly half of the parking lot, this basin was constructed larger than it needed to be for this project, so there is additional storage volume that will compensate for the additional runoff from the parking lot once it is paved. So this would sheet flow off the parking lot. It would flow across about 100 feet of thickly vegetated area. This is quite well vegetated, so it would sheet flow across this vegetated area. You will get infiltration there. Once it filters through that vegetation, it goes into the man-made stormwater quality basin, where it will be further treated in a wet meadow environment before it's discharged over a weir into the natural wetland. So that combination of sheet flow and directed into the stormwater quality basin will provide not only detention to mitigate peak increases in runoff, but also treat the stormwater quality volume. The southerly half of the parking lot, once it's paved, because that flows directly to the wetland, we have shown curbing for the southerly half of the parking lot, and we're proposing a subsurface detention system, infiltration system, which I know this commission has seen on other projects actually on this site. And so we're proposing a treatment train approach where the runoff, once it hits the curb, we have 2 catch basins that are directed to a hydrodynamic separator, 2 hydrodynamic separators on either end. So the stormwater, the more coarse sediments would be settled out in that hydrodynamic separator. Before being directed into the subsurface, there will be a bed of storm tech units is what we're proposing in there that would store the increase in the runoff, infiltrate it into the ground up to a 100-year storm actually. So in excess of the stormwater quality volume. Once that 100-year storm level is reached, the high level overflow, which probably won't happen very often, but is discharged to this location here, which would then flow into the natural wetland. So it's a fairly simple proposal, but of course when you pave an area that's gravel, you have to address that. So that's how we're addressing it, and the town engineer has agreed with the conclusions in my storm drainage report. Since submitting the application, the applicant has determined that they need also to illuminate the parking lot for safety reasons. So that they would like to add this request to this application. The lighting and the lighting, it might be. I want to make sure. Okay. Okay. But they do intend to have some low level of lighting for the parking lot. They don't want to illuminate it. It would be on the lower end of what you're accustomed to seeing in parking lots. And they would probably have motion detectors and timers to minimize when it's, but that is something that they have determined they would need to do. So if there's any questions, or I'll try to answer them from the commission. Yes, I did get a copy of that. And that's the town engineer's comments? Yes.
Yeah, you said he's in agreement, but he's also
I read it briefly.
Wants details of the
right here.
catch basin.
I can give you this one.
Yep.
But he wants revised maps that show the details of the double catch basin.
Of the catch basins. I provided details of
The storm scepters and the storm manholes, so.
I did provide, the plans do have the details of the, just look. The plans submitted, I believe, you have a 3-sheet set, is that correct? Do you have a 3-sheet set of plans? On sheet 3, that's the details for the storm scepter system, the underground system. There is no detail on the plans for the catch basins, which we can add. I would ask that that be a condition of approval.
Yeah.
We would just use
And
this,
also the storm manholes.
and the storm manholes.
Yeah.
We would add those to the plans. They would be standard DOT type manholes and catch basins.
I guess our usual question is snow piles.
Snow piles. Yeah, I know there's a condition that it not be piled within the 100-foot buffer, which they would continue to adhere to. I think the last 2 winters, it hasn't been that much snow. There is space to pile it to the east, And if necessary, they would have to remove it from the site. I don't know if it's, I don't think it's been a problem so far. Yeah.
Madam Chairwoman, the only other item that is that you did receive a letter late today from the Conservation Commission, and there was a couple items they mentioned that you might want to ask the applicant just to comment on so that you're comfortable with, and one was the maintenance that is done to ensure that all of this is working properly, and you can describe what that is, and do we have a maintenance schedule on the plans?
Yeah, yeah, we don't have a printed copy of the,
I gave one to Bob.
yeah. When we get them late, you can't always print them. We should, yeah, but we should have them. Yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna,
yeah.
The biggest problem is receiving these at 4:38 this afternoon. And most of the commissioners work, so it makes it very difficult to have a chance to properly review it before the meeting.
Yeah.
I had an opportunity to just read it because Karen LaPlante brought it in and handed it to me like at 4:45 or something, and the only item that I didn't think that had been addressed was the maintenance item. In terms of the town engineer's review or our review, and whether it's here or at P&Z, I know the Planning and Zoning Commission always puts that requirement for maintenance on, but I just thought it would, if it pleases the commission, you could, the applicant might speak to it if you want.
Yeah, and we usually have them on the site plan, the maintenance.
there is a maintenance, schedule on sheet 1. In the left-hand, excuse me, sheet 2. I'm sorry, sheet 2. Got it up here, so I think sheet. A long-term maintenance schedule.
Oh, there it is. Oh, yeah, it's nice big.
And it addresses, you know, the different portions of the treatment train, the catch basin, sediment structure.
But I think the Conservation Commission's question was, what, you know, do you have any records that you've been actually doing maintenance?
Well, this would apply to the underground systems. The stormwater quality basin, actually, we did quite a bit of maintenance to that as part of the last approval a couple of years ago, where we went in and they eradicated all kinds of the invasive species that were taken over. But being that it was a gravel parking lot up until now, there really hasn't been any maintenance necessary on it. Once we pave it and put the system in, that's what this maintenance schedule is intended to address.
You're talking to them.
Yep,
Yeah.
to address.
Yeah, they asked if all conditions were met from the last application, but I don't have those conditions, so I wouldn't know.
Yes, they were.
Yeah. Possible contamination of the headwaters of freshwater brook. I guess
Well,
there's
that's what-
concern about that, but
Yeah.
I think you gotta have that covered.
That's,
Yeah,
that,
Yeah.
Town
it's
engineer
engineers,
said that it's
Fine.
Yeah.
a zero increase in peak runoff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I think we're good.
As required by regulation.
I think the other comment had to do with the soccer fields.
Yes, there's a comment about the soccer fields. Those are pretty far over.
Yeah, they're a long way from there.
the soccer fields are over in this
Yeah,
area.
they're pretty far over, so,
No, they're quite a ways away.
yeah. So I think we're fine.
We have enough soccer fields anyway. Anyway, yes.
Does anybody have any other questions or concerns for
Did
the
you not?
application? No? This
Make a motion?
this is our conditions.
All right, I will make a motion that we approve IW number 586, 300 Shaker Road, application for the expansion of the parking lots at WE 300 Shaker Road LLC owner applicant, with our standard conditions. In addition, conditions that we get updated plans that document the added lighting, snow pile designation areas, and then the maintenance plan is already on there. And additionally, the details should be added to the plans for the catch basin and storm manholes that aren't presently on there.
Yeah, and I think it's, as pointed out, the agenda said 300, your application said 100 and 300, and there's a portion of 100, so your motion should include that portion of 100 as well.
So noted. So amended.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Can we have roll call, please?
All right. Donna Corbin Sabinski.
Yes?
Kevin Zorda, yes. Robert Shagnon.
Yes.
And Carrie Ann Howe.
Yes.
4 in favor, motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is IW 587, 55 Hazard Avenue, application for the addition of a driveway around the existing building. Alan Borghese, applicant.
Alan, you have to come over here because you're on television and there's a camera that picks it up over there. Unless you don't want to be on TV.
Yeah. It's 55 Hazard Avenue Associates LLC, owner, map 56, lot 005, business local zone. Applicants, state your name and address for the record.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello.
Okay, hello. My name is Alan Borghese. I'm a registered civil engineer with Borghese Building and Engineering. I'm also a member of the LLC that owns this property. Now, I'll give you a little history here. Back in 1995, we purchased this property, and it was a lumber company. We tore out 2/3 of the foundations, reused those to build this building that you see on the site right now. And basically, it's an 11,000 square foot building that's an office building and a retail building. One of our tenants made application to do interior renovations on one of the spaces for medical use. There was concern from the Planning and Zoning Commission that although there was adequate parking, that the turnarounds and the access for emergency vehicles for the medical use was not functional as well as he'd like to see it. He called me up, and this is probably two and a half weeks ago, and asked us if we would make application for a drive around the building to make it safer prior to him issuing a certificate of occupancy. And he was amazed that within a week we had hired a surveyor to go out and resurvey the land, produce a set of drawings that he was very pleased about that showed what he asked about. He visited, I believe, with the Wetlands Commission, and they asked us to make an application to the Wetlands Commission prior to Thursday's meeting. And in a couple of days, again, we've now finished another set of drawings. And I'll just describe what this looks like presently and have you understand what we have here. This is Hazard Avenue, and presently there is a private drive that accesses this site. Through this private drive, there is an entrance and the parking comes across to the front and it dead ends here. And that was the problem that he had. It was the dead ending, turning around of emergency vehicles. So he asked us to extend this and make it around and make a great loop, so allowing the traffic to both drop emergency patients off and to make a loop. He also indicated to me that on an adjacent site there is inadequate parking, and they use this lot for parking, so could we add more parking? So we were very pleased, actually, because in the long run this is beneficial to the property, and so we added additional parking places. I think he's quite pleased about that. At the last minute request from this commission, it was noted that since we have an additional 10,000 square feet plus or minus of impervious, can we add detention? We found a wonderful spot in the southwest of the parcel to put a detention basin. Now, we accomplished all this without filling the wetlands. In fact, we have excavated, the floodplain. We have excavated about 150 cubic yards of fill out of the floodplain, increasing the flood capacity of the facility. We've kept the entire development away from the wetlands, and I think it's actually a tremendous improvement here. So what I'm here for, and I had calculations I submitted, our detention basin actually decreases the runoff in every storm, 5-year, 10-year, 20-year, 50-year, and 100-year storm. So it really has worked out very, very well, and we substantially used the existing drainage system for that. We abandoned one small piece of pipe about 30 foot in length and just rerouted the rest of the pipes to make it work. So my presentation is basically the building is not changing, we're improving it per the request of Roger O'Brien, and I think I'll rest till I have questions to answer.
Well, just to clarify that, since I'm Roger O'Brien, at several ART meetings over the last year and a half, as other urgent care facilities have come into the town, the EMT and the fire department have indicated that this site caused a problem for them because of the dead end. So in many ways, what I was relaying to Alan was the concerns of the emergency medical department and the fire department in terms of that dead end. And we started out talking about putting in some sort of a cul-de-sac there or whatever because it has a small hammerhead, and that's how we kind of got to the... And the parking situation really is that people for this building, in my opinion, park across that private driveway and walk across that private driveway. So I think the parking, even though from a zoning calculation standpoint, they're okay, I think the parking really has been inadequate. And they have the urgent care there now, and then they're going to add a primary care on the other side of the building. So the building's going to end up being 2/3 medical, and medical does create the demand for more parking. Having said that, Mr. Borghese has been tremendously cooperative in terms of submitting plans, and Jen did bring this to you 2 weeks ago and asked you if you felt there needed a permit. You said yes, and Mr. Borghese did all the hard work and got something into us, and so we do appreciate the commission taking it up. There is tonight there is a tenant who's chafing at the bit to move in. The drainage plan submitted has been reviewed by the town engineer, who has indicated his satisfaction with it.
Anybody have any questions for him, or?
So for your consideration, we did give you a draft resolution, which is basically your standard conditions.
Any issues?
I'm just wondering, there's 3 pretty good-sized trees that your sedimentation control fence runs right through the center. Does that mean those trees are going to be gone?
May I come over and you show me where the trees are, please?
Oh, absolutely. They're highlighted with yellow. And purple is your sedimentation control fence.
I apologize for putting the control fence through the tree. That is not what was intended. Those trees are remaining.
Okay, thank you. And they pick on me for coloring.
I know.
You're making me feel bad now.
That's a nice job, though, coloring. So they're adding all this piece. I guess we'll give them the same question we give everybody, the snow piles.
Actually, on this site, there is a significant room around the parking lot. There's no major parking lot, so you're not going to have 20 feet or 50 feet of snow. There, to the wetlands, there's significant area of green without entering into the wetlands, literally on every side. So I think you're okay on that.
Actually, I'm sorry to be a pest, but just to clarify, the one tree here, it does say to be removed right above it. Is that one being removed?
The only reason we indicated removal of that is literally the pavement is right on the edge of that, and that is the only tree we're removing.
Okay, so that is being removed.
Yes, correct.
Okay,
I don't believe it would survive anyway.
okay.
All right, I will make a motion that we approve IW number 587, 55 Hazard Avenue with our standard conditions.
Second?
I will second.
Roll call, please.
Donna Corbin Sabinski?
Yes.
Kevin Zorda, yes. Robert Chagnon?
Yes.
And Carrie Ann Howe.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I want to just comment that without a lot of pre-timing, you worked with me very well. I really appreciate it, and thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for doing everything so quickly, too. Okay, next on the agenda, XIW number 17-14, Pine Grove and Tanglewood Avenue Road Reconstruction Project for the town of Enfield, owner applicant.
Your map too.
He has a big map. You're leaving?
We good?
We're good.
We're good, all right. Good evening, again, my name is Donald Nunes. I'm with the Department of Public Works in the town of Enfield, and I'm an engineer who resides on the, directly above our chambers here. Tonight, we're gonna talk about Pine Grove Avenue and Tanglewood Avenue road reconstruction. It's one of our smaller projects for next year, which is a welcome break from some of the massive ones that we've had in town and some of the extremely complicated ones. This one is really straightforward. Our consultant is Milona McBroom, and Paul DiStefano is our lead engineer. And again, like I said, I'm the Department of Public Works. Jonathan Billmans is our director, and Greg Gabinelli is our deputy director, who reside on 40 Moody. John Cabibbo is the assistant town engineer. Myself and JP Rodriguez are all part of engineering up on the second floor next to the town manager. Again, this is Pine Grove Tanglewood. We're going to talk about the specifics, limits, descriptions, or typical things, summary, and if you have any questions and comments for me. again, one of our smaller projects. Our total reconstruction is only 0.54 miles compared. I know. This is relatively small in our projects. We're doing some very minor vertical and horizontal alignments. One thing about this project is we are installing curbing throughout. So in doing so, we're really bumping up our drainage and really trying to clean the water up because we're capturing all that water now. You'll see when we do the drive-through that there's very little catch basins existing now. We're adding a significant amount. And by doing that, again, we're adding improvements to water quality. All the catch basins, they're typical 2-foot sumps, except for the last one before the culvert, which was a 4-foot sump and is also a double catch basin. They're all going to have hoods to prevent discharge. We're adding 13 new basins. We're replacing 10 and adding 7 drain manholes to take care of the water situation. Yeah, our typical turf establishment in all graded areas. We're maintained and protected as much as we can do throughout the only real impact is at the culvert on the southerly side. We're proposing 20 silt sacks that are out in the other part of the roadway and 145 feet of silt fence, and that 145 feet is just primarily at the culvert on the east and west side. We're going to use best management practices throughout, and again, we are doing no work on that existing culvert except rebuilding the very top of it. They are not in good condition whatsoever, so we're going to rebuild the tops. And if you look on the plans, just to the north of both of those catch basins, we're putting in, that inlet which goes directly into the culvert, we're putting in 2 double catch basins with a 4-foot sump. Those are massive structures. To help slow the water down. So there's going to be a lot more water coming down because we're capturing it all because we're curbing it. But directly before the culvert, we're going to add the double catch basins, slow the water down, then dump it in the culvert and take it off from there. For those who don't know, we're Pine Grove and Tanglewood. This is Brainerd Road. To the north, this is Prudence Crandall School. You have Winding Lane, Pine Grove is off of that, and Tanglewood comes down and eventually connects into Trevor, which goes out to Ganny Terrace and out to Shaker. So this is the intersection again of Pine Grove and Winding Lane. The only real 2 catch basins on the street. There's just 2 more over through here. The pavement, this is a typical road project. The pavement is really, it's in bad condition, and again, one of the primary reasons why we're doing it. No curbing, but we will be curbing everything on this project. It will tie into Winding and it'll tie into Nancy Drive as well. Again, this is all looking easterly. Nothing here for catch basins. We're going to take care of all that as you see on the plans. Again, pavement isn't just, it's in rough shape. This is like the only catch basin between here and also almost the culvert. So again, by closing the system or curbing it, we're capturing all that runoff and treating it. But we're going to take care of it at this, at the culvert. We're, again, like I said, we're doing no work at this culvert. We're just taking the tops off and rebuilding whatever we need to. We were allowed up to 2 feet or 3 feet per the pay item. So we're going down about 2-3 feet, replacing the blocks or whatever it is we have to, and putting a new top on it. Let me go back. This is the one on the westerly side. So we are proposing just to put the silt fence up on, just to block it off through here. The road's not being raised at all. We're basically at the similar elevation because we have to meet this grade here. There isn't much room between this and the top of the pipe. So our grades are really tight through here. We're not lowering or raising things. It's pretty straightforward. And on this side where the cursor is, that's where we're going to put that double catch basin to help slow the water down and filter it. This side's pretty, a little more vegetated. This person here maintains it pretty well. This was at their own accord that they put this in. This has nothing to do with town. They kind of put that in themselves. They did a good job with it, and they maintained the property well. This side's a little more rustic and a little more bucolic on this side. We're still going to keep that as is, and again, we're going to put that other double catch basin somewhere in this vicinity, capture that, slow it down. Typical catch basin trap details that we've been using on all of our projects now. We've been installing them on every single catch basin, existing and proposed. We're using standard silt fence. The silt sacks that you see, those things that go into the catch basins, those have been working very effectively throughout our other projects. Those are standard, going to go in. And also our town standard of the no dumping things on top of the catch basins. Again, very straightforward. one of the smaller projects, and I am grateful for a smaller project like this. Yeah, I know. I'll be seeing you in a few weeks though with a couple of big ones. So we are reconstructing entirely. So we're digging down, taking off all the pavement, getting rid of all the junk that's in there, and putting in brand new gravel and paving it. So we're not reclaiming. We're not doing this as a full removal of everything. But again, pretty much the grades are staying the same. We're doing a lot of storm drain improvements, as you can tell, with 13 catch basins and 10 rebuilds, and we're upgrading the entire system, which increases our water quality measures. We're going to use best management practices throughout our construction activities with the additional catch basins, the hoods, the sumps, or what we've been trying to do throughout our throughout this roads referendum is really concentrate on that. And by doing that, we're not having any impacts to the wetlands. We're just working in the area above it, or the Great Brook's not being impacted in any way. And again, we do this through careful design and environmental stewardship and learning through all the projects we've done before. So, yes, it's one of my simple ones. So, that's it.
Yeah, nice. Does anybody have any questions?
Just standard, right?
Standard. Do a nice job.
Thank you.
As always. All right, I move that we approve XIW number 17-14,
Yeah.
Pine Grove and Tanglewood Avenue Road reconstruction with our standard conditions.
Do I have a second? Okay, roll call, please.
Donna Corbin Sabinski,
Yes?
Kevin Zorda, yes. Robert Shagnon,
Yes.
and Carrie Ann Howe.
Yes.
4 in favor, motion passes.
Thank you.
Enjoy your short project.
Yay.
See you soon.
Oh, you will. We got some big ones coming.
Yeah.
They're coming your way. Thank you for
Oh, you're welcome. While he's picking up there, we have no applications to be received, no determination of permits needed. Do we have reports from the officers and committees? I see none.
None.
It would be a report from the planning director.
Report of the assistant town planner.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, there's not much. There's nothing else in the office for new applications. I guess we're waiting on Donald to get us a couple. Other than that, Metro Park property will be on for your next meeting, and that's been advertised. And
It's a public hearing.
yep, I know you had some concerns about 1551 King Street, the Namco building.
Oh, yeah.
Where they're putting the new church. We did look that up, and the wetlands are outside of the, or they're more than 100 feet away from the project that they're doing over there, so that's would be why we didn't bring it before you.
That's good, thank you. Thank you for
So-
checking.
Yep, we checked into that. And other than that, if you have any questions for me.
Any updates to any of the enforcements?
No, the sand and gravel pit is still, they're working things out with their attorney, and other than that, well, after talking to Rick, that's really all we
Have at the moment.
we had at the moment.
Okay. We have no old business. Our next meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, December 19th with a public hearing. Do we have anything else on the agenda for that you know of right now?
Not that I know of
At
right
the
now.
Maybe receiving?
We might be
Probably
receiving.
receiving.
Yeah, probably receiving.
Excellent. All right, I move that we adjourn the meeting.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned.